All right, it's a beautiful sunny day. I know normally I shoot videos in the rain, but we've not had rain in weeks. So you're stuck with some sunny weather in this video. Anyways, my favorite part of the Supra is definitely the rear end. I think this is a super cool looking vehicle. It's gotten a lot of attention this week, more so than some fancier cars I've had in the past. People still don't really know what this is. So this is the Mark V, the 5th generation of the Toyota Supra with the manual in Stratosphere Blue. This is an awesome looking color. I've had a lot of blue cars this year for press vehicles. This is the best blue yet. Now under the hood is a turbocharged 3-liter inline 6. This is a B58. This is a BMW engine. I'm sure none of this is new news. I'm pretty late to the game at reviewing a Supra. We're sort of at the end of this generation. 2026 will be the last year for this gen, and they've got this cool final edition. It's really expensive. It looks really cool, but it is very expensive. It's nearly $100,000 Canadian. Now the 4th generation, which was 1993 to 2002, was considered the most popular Supra. And at that time period, I was a little baby. So I did not have my driver's license. So I've never really had any experience with other Supras other than this exact car. I have to say, this is such a fun car to drive. It's got this old school feel to it, this feeling that you don't really get in a lot of new sports cars. Now, I'm a little late to the game, obviously, in this 5th generation. It's been out for a couple of years now. And when it first came out, people weren't super stoked about it. They just kind of thought it was a BMW. I think people are starting to ease on that a bit and have realized that this is a pretty sweet car. But I don't have that connection to the older generations like a lot of people do. This is my only experience, unless we count Need for Speed and Gran Turismo. But we don't count that. That's the only time I've ever driven any other Supra. This is the only one I've actually driven. Now this is the manual Supra, and you don't pay a premium for buying manual, unlike in the Z4, you do actually pay extra money to get a manual in that. This costs exactly the same as the auto, and they start at about $65,000 here in Canada, about $57,000 in the US. Now this particular one S-Spec is $72,000. This has an optional Stratosphere Blue color on it that looks really cool. And this does have the premium package put onto it. So it gets these 19-inch gunmetal rims. It gets a heads-up display. It also comes with leather seats and front and rear parking sensors. So I genuinely think this is a fantastic looking vehicle. This Supra is sweet. It's very unique. There's not a whole lot on the road that looks like this. I mean, there's not a whole lot of 2-seater manuals anymore to begin with. So this is a very rare vehicle, I would say. I barely see these on the road. It might be different in the US, but here in London, Ontario, Canada, I never see these. Now it's got a pretty long hood because it's got to fit that B58 in there. And we've got nice LED headlights at the front here with red accents on the side. You won't be able to see it from there, but from here, you can definitely see it. They are very bright headlights at night. I do really like them. We do unfortunately have some fake vents up here. I don't know why they would do that on this kind of a vehicle, but anyways, we do have a nice aero kit along the front, and then there are real vents down below here. And this one does have the parking sensors. It's an upgraded package. It's the premium package here in Canada. I forget what it's called in the US, but I'll put it up on the screen. But yeah, no problem with the front end on this. It's sweet. So here is the side profile of the Supra. Looks, again, very, very cool. Very muscular looking vehicle, really gets wide at the back. And then unfortunately though, we do have fake vents here and fake vents right there. Again, why? Just make them legit. $72,000 car. It's all good, it still looks awesome. Now this is a staggered setup. We do have 255 wide at the front and 275 wide at the rear. These are 19-inch gunmetal rims, and we do have Brembo brakes. They are 4 piston calipers up front and a single floating caliper at the rear. With the Z4 I was in a couple of weeks ago, they were 19-inch rims up front and 20-inch rims at the rear. If you're wondering about the tires on the Supra, they are Michelin Pilot Super Sports. Now these mirrors do fold in and out when you lock and unlock the vehicle, and they kind of have this gray matte finish, look really sharp. Now one thing you just got to watch for is when you're getting in the vehicle, just make sure not to hit your head here, because I've probably done this like 3 or 4 times now. Now this is by far my favorite part of the vehicle, the rear end. This is sleek, this is awesome. It's got a cool ducktail spoiler here. I really like the aftermarket stuff I've seen where they got really giant spoilers. I think that's awesome. I would do that for sure if I bought one of these. We've got our Toyota badge, we've got the Supra badge, we've got the GR Gazoo Racing badge. Really nice tail lights, really big diffuser with a reverse light down here. That looks awesome too. And then giant exhaust pipes. Now let's take a listen to the exhaust system on this Supra, and then let's take a listen to the Z4 M40i. Now I do have one issue with this rear end, and that's the fact that there's no button to open the trunk. You have to go into the car and press the button or hit the button on your key. It would be really handy if there was just a button there. They could have hit it pretty well right underneath the Supra badge there. Now the only awkward part for me on this vehicle would just be the roof line, and it's designed like this so you have more headroom in there, but it just kind of looks funny. All right, so what was your opinion on the design of the Toyota Supra? Well, 659 of you voted and 90% of you approve of the design on the Supra. That is a really high rating. If you want to participate and vote for future vehicles that I review, please feel free to subscribe here on YouTube or follow me on Instagram where I upload polls weekly. Welcome to the GR Supra interior space. And you know what? There's not a whole lot going on in here. It does feel pretty old school in here. And that's actually a very good thing because you know what? I'm tired of all these touchscreens. So happy that we have physical buttons in here. This does have an 8.8-inch touchscreen and it runs the iDrive 6 BMW infotainment system. Not the most exciting, but you know what? I just use Apple CarPlay in here for the most part. I will say, the screen feels a little cheapy or something, which is weird because usually Toyota screens don't feel that way and BMW screens don't feel that way, so I don't know what's up with the screen. The steering wheel is really nice to use. It is very boring looking. You would think they'd have kind of like a GR badge on here or something. We've got really old school buttons. We've got BMW stocks for sure, BMW door handles, you name it. But for the most part, I've really enjoyed being in this interior space. It doesn't feel like overly special, but you know what? It's about the drive in this vehicle. We've got carbon fiber going down the middle. We do have a wireless charger with this sort of like cover on top. I'm not really sure what that's about. Maybe it's just to keep it in there. We do have a regular old school USB there. And then we do have sort of our dial for our iDrive 6 up here. I don't actually find I use that at all. Coming from a Mazda owner where I use the rotary dial quite a bit, this feels kind of far away to use, but it's pretty easy to just use the touchscreen. These seats are pretty comfortable. I did a pretty long drive in them and I had no back issues or anything. They do have 2 memory seats and they do have lumbar support. It does have a 12-speaker JBL sound system in here. Maybe I don't have the equalizer or whatever set right. I don't find it sounds awesome, but this vehicle does get really loud when you're on the highway, so you really got to turn up the music to hear it. So your driver's display is digital, but it looks kind of old school retro. It almost looks like it's not digital. It's pretty nice. And you do have a heads-up display as well. In terms of storage, there's not a whole lot. There is no like center console you can open up or anything. We just got 2 cup holders and a really tiny little compartment there. At least there is a decent amount of room in the trunk space, but otherwise the door panel, you could not fit a water bottle in there. It is pretty small in here. Now the Supra doesn't have any sort of 360 camera, but it does have a pretty decent rear view camera, pretty decent quality. And this has the premium package, so we do have sensors. There's not a whole lot else to talk about in this interior, but there is one other sort of menu that is important, and that's when you hit My Vehicle here and go down to Sport Displays. This will show you your horsepower and your torque numbers while you're driving around. It's kind of cool to look at, but really that's about the coolest thing you're going to find on this infotainment. This is more than enough power. 0 to 60 for the manual is around 4.2 seconds, which is pretty quick. If you get the automatic, I think it's 3.9 seconds. It feels great around corners. Like, it's a lot of fun. You feel like you're flying because it's so small and you're so low to the ground. Now yes, in sport mode it is stiff. However, you can configure your sport mode so that the damping is normal, and then you just have steering on as sport and your engine in sport. And that's probably how I would drive it around the city the most. So if you're taking some turns and stuff, then I would throw damping into sport mode. But this is great. Now I didn't actually plan this, but I did recently drive the BMW Z4 M40i. Obviously shares the same engine. They're both built in the same factory in Austria, but they feel like very different vehicles. Aside from obviously the engine and the exhaust kind of sounds the same, the Z4 is definitely more of a grand touring luxury vehicle. This, you can see I'm bouncing off the road here, is very stiff and handles a lot more like an old school sports car. You definitely feel more connected to the road because this has fixed ratio steering, whereas the Z4 has variable steering. So this is a little more direct. The Z4 didn't really give me that super low to the ground feeling like this does. This makes me feel like I'm in a go-kart. The Z4 definitely felt better over bumpy roads compared to the Supra, but the adaptive damping in the Supra is actually pretty good. It feels completely different in sport mode. You definitely start feeling every bump in the road as soon as you put it into sport, which is great. That's what it's meant to do. You're supposed to feel connected to the road in sport mode. And then the exhaust gets pretty loud in sport mode as well, and it sounds really good. I mean, it does sound like BMW, and you get a lot of pops and crackles and stuff out the back on the exhaust there. Now the Z4 is also offered in a manual now this year. What I would say is that the clutch is a little bit easier to use in the Supra here. I find this as a manual noob a little bit easier to drive than the Z4. However, once you've had the Z4 for a week or two, then it's fine. It's just getting used to it felt easier in this Supra. Now another great thing for a manual noob like me is this does have auto rev match, so it is like a downshift assist, which is great because I have not mastered heel and toe yet. So it's Friday right now. I picked this vehicle up on Monday in Toronto, and then there was an accident on the highway, so it took me like 3.5 hours to get home. And I will say it was comfortable. These seats are pretty good. I don't mind these seats at all. It is pretty loud once you get up to higher speeds in the cabin here. There's a lot of road noise, which I didn't notice in the Z4. And then I will also say that once you get up into 6th gear, it does drone a little bit on the highway. It's not too bad, but I know it could maybe annoy passengers. When it comes to visibility, as you can kind of see from that angle, actually it's really wide. You can see the blind spot. It's a little sketchy at times, I find. Just the way this vehicle is designed, the slope at the rear there. I've driven on the highway. I've driven this in the city a fair bit. I've driven it about 450 kilometers now, and I'm averaging about 10.9 liters per 100 kilometers. And considering how I've been driving this, that's actually pretty good. I have filled this up once, and it cost $62 Canadian to fill it from close to empty. I probably had 50 kilometers left still. So you can estimate that it will cost you about $60 to $70 to fill this up. It does take 91 octane fuel. Well, thanks for getting to the end of the video here. I have thoroughly enjoyed my week with this Supra. This is a really cool car, really unique. A lot of people don't really know what this is still, even though it's been out for a couple of years. I've had a lot of people ask me, what is that? Oh, it's a Toyota? Wow. So, I mean, some people will say it's not a Toyota, it's a BMW, but whatever. This is a pretty cool car. Really enjoyed it. And next week is actually going to be considerably different from this. We are picking up a TRD Pro Sequoia. That is like a massive, huge SUV, and this is a tiny little car, so it's going to be a real big change. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you soon.